Picture this. You're sitting at your desk, just staring at your monitor.
Oh, I know this feeling.
Right. You're about to hit send on the super high-stakes proposal to the executive board. You've spent weeks, literally weeks, mastering the complex market analysis. Your vocabulary is perfectly polished, your data is bulletproof, but your finger suddenly hovers over the mouse, and you just freeze.
Let me guess. It's a two-letter word.
Exactly. All because of a tiny, seemingly insignificant word. You're panicking, thinking, wait, did the quarterly profits decrease of 5% or by 5%?
Oh, yeah. That is a classic panic moment.
It totally is. Well, welcome to a brand new discussion here on the Biz English channel. Today, we are dissecting the tiny connectors that absolutely terrorize language learners and, honestly, working professionals alike. Prepositions.
They really do terrorize people.
They do. And specifically, we are going to master the big three today. By, from, and of.
Yeah, these prepositions are, well, they represent the ultimate roadblock for anyone pushing into that advanced B2 or C1 fluency. Because you can build this massive mental dictionary of complex business jargon. But these tiny structural words determine the entire logic of your sentence.
And it's crazy because in quite a few other languages, a single word covers all three of these concepts.
Exactly. English, however, divides them up, which forces the speaker to constantly categorize the physical, the temporal, and the conceptual world in very rigid ways.
So today, we're going to figure out exactly when to use which word. But more importantly, we're going to uncover the psychological mechanism behind why English demands this level of precision.
Oh, yeah. The why is the best part.
Right. Like, do these tiny words actually change how we process reality? We will definitely get into that. But before we jump in, do me a quick favor.
Please do.
Hit that subscribe button, leave a like on the video, and as we go through these rules, share your opinions and your own language struggles in the comments section down below. We love seeing your input, and it really helps the channel grow. So let's start by looking at the foundation of how things connect to one another in the physical world, starting with the word of.
Okay, so if we look at of, its core function is really as the ultimate connector. It establishes a static structural relationship between two nouns.
Okay, static and structural, like what?
Like showing possession. So, for example, members of the club or the King of England.
Got it.
It connects the members to the club, the king to the country. But it also handles quantities, especially when you're dealing with uncountable nouns.
Like recipes and stuff.
Exactly. You bake with a cup of flour. Or in business, you report on 30% of the population. It also pins down parts relative to a whole, establishing exact position.
Like the back of the bus.
Yes, or the top of your head or the corner of the street. In all these scenarios, of is just telling the listener how part A relates structurally to part B.
Right. But, okay, applying that connector logic universally is exactly what gets advanced learners into trouble.
Oh, big time.
Because English also utilizes the apostrophe S for possession. So if a learner takes the structural rule you just described and applies it to a person, they end up saying something like, hey, let's go to the house of Sarah.
Which feels incredibly unnatural to a native speaker.
It sounds so weird. It sounds like something out of a medieval fantasy novel, like, behold, the house of Sarah.
It really does. It sounds like a multi-generational royal dynasty, not, a suburban endress down the road.
Exactly.
And this is a profound cognitive trap, because in Romance, languages like French or Spanish, that of construction is perfectly standard for human possession.
Right, like La Casa de Sarah.
Exactly. But English rejects the house of Sarah while perfectly accepting the roof of the house.
Okay, so what is the actual mechanism driving that rejection? Because grammatically, the structure is identical. Both involve a noun possessing another noun?
The mechanism really comes down to the concept of agency. Yeah. English speakers subconsciously categorize the world into entities that have autonomy and entities that do not. We use the apostrophe S, like Sarah's house or my manager's report, when we are talking about people.
Living, breathing agents.
Right. Agents who have the literal capacity to own something.
Yeah.
And we restrict the use of to inanimate objects or abstract concepts.
Ah, okay. The color of her hair.
Exactly. The roof of the house.
Yeah.
The back of the bus.
So the apostrophe S essentially grants humanity, or like active ownership to the noun.
Yes.
Sarah actively owns the house. The bus, however, doesn't actively own its back. The back is merely a structural component of the vehicle.
That is a perfect way to put it, and this is where the concept of linguistic relativity becomes visible.
How so?
By forcing this grammatical distinction '(s) for active agents and "of" for inanimate objects, the sentence structure instantly signals to the listener whether they are dealing with a human relationship or just a mere physical component. It is a cognitive shortcut, and it completely shapes how the English brain maps out possession.
That is wild. Okay, let's apply this to another really common B2 or C1 stumbling block. The difference between a wine glass and a glass of wine.
Oh, let's create one.
Because both describe a relationship between glass and wine. But the preposition changes the physical reality of the object on the table.
Right, so we're talking about compound nouns versus prepositional phrases here. When you put two nouns together without a preposition, a wine glass, the first noun is just acting as an adjective.
It's describing the purpose of the second noun.
Exactly. It is a glass designed for wine, but it could be completely empty.
Right.
But the moment you insert "of" to say a glass of wine, well, "of" performs its function of establishing quantity and contents. You are no longer talking about the empty vessel.
You are talking about the actual liquid currently inside it.
Precisely.
Okay, so if "of" locks us into a static relationship with an object, either through possession or contents, how do we express motion away from it? Because that is where I see learners inevitably start substituting "of" for "from."
Oh, constantly. Because "from" serves as the anchor. If "of" is about structural belonging, "from" is the definitive starting point in space, time, or origin.
The starting point.
Yeah, it links a subject to its absolute point zero.
I always tell people to think of it like dropping a pin on a digital map.
That's a great analogy.
Right, because physical origin is the most straightforward application. Like, the international shipment arrived from Spain. Spain is the physical point zero.
Exactly.
But it also applies to conceptual origins, too. Like, the data from the Q3 report indicates a downward trend. The Q3 report is the source material where the information originated.
Yep. And the temporal application is where professional communication relies on it heavily.
Oh, definitely.
Like, the financial markets will be open from 9 a.m. That 9 a.m. is the rigid temporal starting point, or even measuring distance away from that dropped pin.
Like physical distance.
Right. The new branch is located 5 kilometers from here. Or temporal distance, we will reconvene to review the metrics 5 hours from now.
So whether it is measuring miles down a highway, hours into the future, or just pulling data out of a spreadsheet from, establishes the baseline coordinate. It's the origin point of reality.
It really is.
All right, we are halfway through these foundational rules, and I am going to forcefully break the fourth wall here.
Oh, boy.
I need you to go to the comments right now and answer this. Which of these three prepositions, by, from, or of, gives you the biggest headache in your daily emails?
Be honest, guys.
Yes. Pause the video, scroll down, let us know in the comments, and please don't forget to hit subscribe while you're down there. It really, really helps us out.
You know, my hypothesis is that the next preposition we cover is the one causing the vast majority of those communication breakdowns in the workplace.
I would agree with that. Because moving forward from the starting point of a timeline, we eventually hit the moment of completion, and then we have to identify the agent who actually does the work.
Which introduces the incredible versatility of by.
Yes.
By. By is a true workhorse in the English language. It introduces the doer of an action, particularly in passive constructions.
Like, the quarterly review was approved by the board of directors.
Exactly. It shifts the focus of the entire sentence. Instead of the active phrasing, the board approved the review, the passive voice lets us focus heavily on the review itself, attaching the board at the end of the sentence as the mechanism of action.
It's also used to describe the method, right? Like how something was accomplished.
Yes. We increased client retention by implementing flexible hours. Or, she improved her presentation skills by reading financial journals.
Okay, but where by becomes a massive liability in the corporate world is when it is used for deadlines.
Oh, the deadline confusion.
I will have the audit to you by Friday. Let's pause on the deadline aspect for a second. If I tell a client I will deliver a project by Friday, how is that psychologically different from saying at 5 p.m. on Friday?
There is a profound psychological distinction between at and by. When you use at or on for days of the week, you are plotting a fixed, rigid coordinate on the calendar or the clock.
It implies an exact appointment.
Right. Let's meet at 9 a.m. But by means not later than. It creates a window of time rather than a pinpoint.
A window. So it includes the possibility of early delivery.
Exactly. You might finish the audit on Wednesday or Thursday. Friday is simply the absolute limit of the window.
It offers a grace period that fixed prepositions just don't allow.
And this is another prime example of linguistic relativity.
Because other languages don't have that.
Right. If a language lacks a distinct single-word preposition for a window of time concluding at X versus exactly at X, speakers have to use additional clauses to convey that flexibility.
Wow.
English just bakes the concept of a flexible deadline right into a two-letter word.
That is so efficient. Let's expand on that temporal confusion, though, because by also collides with until.
Oh, yes. The classic by versus until debate.
Right, like, I will work until 5 p.m. versus I will finish the report by 5 p.m.
So until describes a continuous action that stops at a specific time. You are actively working the entire duration, nonstop, up to 5 p.m.
Okay.
By describes a single completed event that will happen at some undefined moment before the deadline. You might finish the report at 2 p.m. and then, go get a coffee. The action doesn't stretch to fill the time.
That makes total sense. Okay, so we have established our baseline. Of is the static connector for possession and contents. From is the GPS pin for absolute origins.
Yep.
And by is the doer, the method, or the deadline window.
Yeah.
But true advanced fluency isn't just memorizing rules in isolation.
No, it's navigating the collisions.
Yes, the collisions. We need to look at scenarios where swapping just one of these little words completely alters the reality of the sentence.
Let's start with a single physical object, a book. Depending on which preposition you attach to it, the entire narrative surrounding that object changes.
Okay, let's use the author Jav Clear as our example. If I am holding a copy of Atomic Habits, and I tell a colleague, this is a book by James Clear.
You are identifying him as the doer, the creator. He wrote the words inside that book.
But if I change one word and say, this is a book from James Clear, the reality shifts completely.
Right, because now from is our starting point. This means James Clear physically gave the book to you.
Like as a present.
Exactly. He might be the author, or it might just be a cookbook he thought you would enjoy. The point is, he is the physical origin of the gift. He handed it to you.
Okay, what if I say, this is a book of James Clear's? Notice the apostrophe S at the end of his name.
Now we have returned to possession. This means the physical book actually belongs to him. It is from his personal shelf. He probably lent it to you, and he maintains ownership over it.
And finally, what if I open the pages and say, this is a book of psychology?
You have shifted to contents. You are no longer talking about who wrote it, who gifted it, or who owns it. You are describing what the book is structurally composed of.
It's mind-blowing. The object in your hands remains identical, but its history, its ownership, and its contents shift entirely based on a two-letter preposition.
It really is wild when you break it down like that.
Let's apply this collision concept to the verb made, because this is a massive pain point in manufacturing and design conversation.
Oh, yes. Made from, made of, and made by.
What is the underlying logic distinguishing these three?
The logic dictates how much physical transformation has occurred to the raw materials. We use made from when there has been a total chemical or physical transformation.
So unrecognizable.
Exactly. The original raw material has been completely changed into something else to the point where it is no longer recognizable. Paper is made from wood pulp. Glass is made from sand. You cannot look at a window pane and visually identify the grains of sand.
Right, but made of operates on a different visual principle, like the executive boardroom table is made of oak.
Yes.
Because I can look at the table and still clearly see the wood grain. The material hasn't been chemically transformed into a new substance. It was just reshaped.
Exactly. Made of is essentially a substitute for composed of the visible material.
And then, of course, we have made by, which reverts to our rule about the doer or the method.
Like, the table was made by a local carpenter, or the glass was made by hand.
But wait, let's test the boundaries of that visible material rule.
Yeah.
What about baking?
Oh, here we go.
Think about it. You bake a cake using flour, sugar, and eggs. The flour completely vanishes into the final product through a chemical reaction in the oven.
Right.
So shouldn't the rule dictate we say the cake is made from flour? Because I hear native speakers use made of all the time when discussing recipes.
That is a fascinating edge case where the rule bends to human perception.
Really?
Yeah. Cooking often straddles the line between chemical transformation and physical assembly. When native speakers conceptualize an ingredients list, they tend to lean toward made of or made with. Like, what is this cake made of? Mostly flour and sugar.
Even though a chemical transformation occurred.
Yes. because the human mind still categorizes culinary ingredients as distinct underlying components of a recipe. However, in industrial manufacturing, plastic is made from petroleum. The conceptual distance between the raw earth material and the final synthetic product is so vast that from becomes mandatory.
Wow, that is incredibly nuanced. Okay, let's transition to the highest stakes collision of all, the business trick.
Oh, this is the big one.
If you were writing emails, analyzing data, or reporting on changing financial numbers, this is where a tiny preposition mistake can severely undermine your professional credibility.
The dreaded increase and decrease sentences.
Yes.
Let's look at 3 distinct sentences that all convey the exact same data about a changing number, but they require 3 different prepositions to be grammatically correct.
Okay, lay them on me.
Sentence 1. There has been an increase of 15% over the last 5 years.
Okay.
Sentence 2. The unit price has increased by 15% over the last year.
Mm-hmm.
Sentence 3. The unit price has increased from $1 to $1.15.
Okay, so how do we know when to deploy of, by, or from?
Well, from is the easiest one to spot because it adheres strictly to our earlier rule. It identifies the starting point.
Right, the price started at $1, so it increased from $1.
Exactly. The confusion, however, almost entirely lies in choosing between of and by.
An increase of 15% versus increase by 15%.
The secret to making the correct choice lies in the surrounding grammar. Are you using the word increase as a noun or as an active verb?
Oh.
When we talk about a conceptual change to an amount, the noun form requires of, a fall of 1 meter, a decrease of 10%, an increase of 15%.
But the verb form requires by. Water levels fell by 1 meter, operating profits decreased by 10%, the unit price increased by 15%.
Exactly. And the reason this drives learners crazy is that words like increase, decrease, rise, and fall are spelled and pronounced identically whether they are functioning as a noun or a verb.
That is so cruel. So what does a listener actually do in the moment? If I'm drafting an email and I stare at the word increase, how do I know which one I am currently using?
Because English uses the same word for the physical action and the abstract concept, the brain needs a tiny structural flag to brace itself for the math that is about to follow.
A structural flag.
That flag is the article, the words a or n.
Oh my gosh. The article gives it away entirely.
Yes. If you see an article, you are dealing with a noun. There has been an increase. The moment you type the word "n," you have forced the word "increase" to act as a noun, and nouns require "of," so it must be an increase of 15%.
Industry experts noticed a fall. There's the article a. So fall is functioning as a noun. It absolutely has to be a fall of 1 meter.
You got it. But if there is no article present, and the word is directly describing the action taking place, it is a verb. Water levels fell. No article. It is the active verb. So it must be fell by 1 meter.
So you aren't just guessing prepositions. You are providing the necessary structural flag the reader's brain needs to process the sentence correctly.
Exactly. That mechanism is crucial.
We have covered a massive amount of technical ground today. Let's do a comprehensive recap of the journey.
Good idea. To summarize, use of for static structural relationships, possession of inanimate objects and indicating the visible contents of something.
Use from for your absolute starting points. The GPS pin for origins in place, time, and distance.
Use by for the doer of a passive action, the method utilized, or to create a flexible deadline window in time.
And remember the structural cheat code for your business emails. Nouns take of, verbs take by. Look for the a or an to know which preposition you're required to use when discussing increasing or decreasing numbers.
It's a lifesaver.
If you found that structural cheat code helpful, or if you had any other aha moments during this video, please make sure you hit that subscribe button right now.
Please do.
We put out content like this regularly on the Biz English channel to help you navigate the trickiest, most nuanced parts of the language. Leave a like and drop a comment below sharing what surprised you the most today.
But before we let you go, I want to return to that lingering philosophical question we touched on at the beginning. As we noted, several other languages use just one single word to express all 3 of these concepts, by, from, and of.
Right, the concept of linguistic relativity.
Exactly.
Yep.
If a language does not force its speakers to constantly, obsessively distinguish between a static structural relationship, an absolute spatial starting point, and the agent of an action, well, how does that alter their psychological perception of the world?
That is deep.
Does the English language's obsession with hyper-specific boundaries make its speakers view ownership, physical transformation, and time more rigidly? Or does a single, unified preposition in another language foster a more holistic, interconnected view of how objects and events relate to one another?
Man, do the prepositions we use dictate our actual reality? It's a fascinating question and definitely something to mull over every time you draft an email from now on. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Biz English channel. We will see you next time.